Preservatives in food, good or bad? Coming right up. Hey, I'm Dr. Ekberg with Wellness for Life, and if you'd like to truly master health by understanding how the body really works, make sure that you subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you don't miss anything. So preservatives are a hot topic, and we're going to talk about what they actually do and why it is a good or a bad idea to eat food with preservatives. So first of all, what do? They make food last longer. That's the purpose. That's why we add them to food. But how do they do that? Well, let's ask, why do you eat food in the first place? Because you want nutrients, you want energy, you want to increase your survival, you want building blocks. You want to take in the things in your body that supports life. Well, that's exactly why mold and bacteria and pathogens are attracted to the same food that you are trying to preserve. They're trying to get some nutrients, they're trying to get some food value out of that food. So if we add a preservative that makes the food last longer, it's because the preservative makes the food less attractive to the mold and the bacteria and the pathogens. So once we add the preservative, now the pathogens can't use the food because it's dangerous, it's lethal for the mold to eat that food. So now the food lasts longer. And if it makes the food useless or dangerous to the mold and the bacteria and the pathogens, how do you think that affects you? Because they are biological life forms, you are a biological life form. And even though there are differences, we're not that different. The reason that we're attracted to the same food is that we have a lot in common. And if it affects them in a negative way, it's going to affect you in a negative way. So from that perspective, preservatives destroy the food value of a food, to some degree at least. And the other thing that we use as a preservative is antioxidants. So again, let's talk about what oxygen is. Oxygen is the stuff that we breathe. Why do we breathe it? Because we need that oxygen to burn the food. To utilize the nutrients and the energy in the food, we breathe oxygen. That's why we breathe. But if we add a bunch of antioxidants, that means that interferes, that counteracts the effect, the mechanism of utilizing oxygen. So the more antioxidants there are in the food, or the more antioxidants that we take in, the less we are able to utilize oxygen. It interferes with our ability to use oxygen. So we have less food value, we have less ability to turn that food into energy. And the same holds true, obviously, for the pathogens. So the more nutritious a food is, the less shelf life it has. So if you think about an organic tomato or organic spinach or a fresh fish or a piece of meat, the higher the nutrient value, the shorter the shelf life. And that's why we have things like freezing and conserving. Now, in the old days, they preserved things by using bacteria that created a natural atmosphere. And those are okay, like using sauerkraut or pickling. Those are natural methods of preserving things that don't create any of these. Another way is using a lot of salt to preserve something that they used in the past. You can also dry things that they used in the past. But overall, the more nutritious something is, the less shelf life it has. And so there are two things that we do to extend shelf life. And the first is we process or refine the food, which means we remove the nutritious portion of the food. So in the case of grains, for example, the germ has all the nutrition, the starch has virtually no nutrition. So by removing the germ, we extend the shelf life of the flour. But in the process, obviously, we just took away everything that was useful about that food. And like we said, the second way is to use preservatives to poison the food so that it is less attractive or dangerous to the pathogens that want to compete with us for the food. We want to stay away from preservatives as much as we can. There are times when a small amount might be beneficial when we have no other alternative, but for the most part, as far as you can, you want to stick with fresh food and frozen food and read that list of ingredients and stay away from preservatives. If you enjoy this sort of information, if you'd like to make sense out of things and understand the deeper workings, make sure that you subscribe and hit that notification bell so that we can keep this content coming your way. And please share this information because this is life-saving information. People not knowing this is why we have a healthcare crisis. This is why we have an exponential growth of degeneration and lifestyle diseases. Thank you so much for listening.